American man. No one pay attention to what's in my head. I got a voice inside that needs to be fed. It's causing chaos everywhere I land. I got a fever. I got a fever.
What's up, everybody? This is Ohio Sports Talk. I am your host, Doug. That's the coach, Jordan Maxson. And that was our guy, Bronson Arroyo, with our intro. It's been a while since we talked about it, man. We got to interview Bronson Arroyo in the summer. We're going to add that to our audio files on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you are a listener of the show and you have one of those devices, you can listen to the audio version on those two platforms now. So that's exciting news, Jordan. How the hell are you doing, buddy? What's going on?
Doing well. Keeping busy. We're knee deep in the basketball season, both for college and NBA. We got a lot going on with the Senior Bowl. Very exciting stuff all around. Ohio's kind of the epicenter of a lot of things right now. So we've been very upbeat, whether it's been pro, college, or even a little bit of high school. So, I'm ready for it. I'm locked in. How are things in your neck of the woods?
They're doing good, guys. I'm just gonna do it now. Dude, there's been so much news recently. I feel like we're putting out content at an alarming rate. I want to say thank you to everybody who's liked, interacted, retweeted some of our videos. We're posted on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're just super busy right now with all the news recently. We're going to talk obviously the Myles Garrett situation tonight, Jordan. We're going to talk Cleveland Cavaliers with their great week last week. We're going to talk Reds. We're going to do a little lineup preview. We're, about 2 months out from baseball season. I am pumped for baseball season this year. Terry Francona gives me that kind of belief in this team again. So we'll talk about them. And Jordan, first things first, man, the news out of Cleveland. Myles Garrett has officially asked for a trade request. And Jordan, I've never been shot. I've never been kicked by a horse. I've never been struck by lightning. Jordan, none of these things have ever happened to me. But today, I felt like my chest was caved in by a large animal, maybe an elephant, maybe a rhinoceros. The news that Myles Garrett has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns absolutely kicked my teeth in. As a Bengals fan, what do you think of the trade? What do you think's going on? Because I'll get my thoughts together after you. But what's your initial thought after Myles Garrett asked for that trade?
Douglas, I was surprised. We kind of talked on it in pre-production before we came on air. I was surprised. The man is, he's been just such a stable for a really long time in Cleveland, and he's been, as a Bengals fan myself, he's been my biggest nightmare. He's the boogeyman that lives under my bed when the Bengals come to town and play, because Douglas, we don't have an offensive line that has ever stopped him on any level on any given Sunday. So, Doug, I'm shocked. I'm 110% shocked that it's happened. But Douglas, I read his letter, whether it was written by him, whether it was written by his camp. I gotta tip my cap a little bit. It sounds professional. He's communication with the front office. It's everything right now is in the okay stages. We'll see where it goes. When it gets closer to camp and spring and free agency, and the draft. Maybe you guys will move him before the draft, but I'm really shocked. The money's always been there. Cleveland's front office has always paid him. That's not been the issue.
Yeah.
But just the quarterback, you look at the quarterback situation and the direction of the team. Doug, I'm a little hard,
It's pain, dude. It's painful.
It's painful.
I know you're a Bengals fan, man, but
But I can relate. I watched guys leave disgruntled when Lou Amarillo came in. I watched Dunlap leave. I watched Geno Atkins silently retire. It didn't come back to the ball club. Watched my secondary, just Kirkpatrick, and we discussed a little bit of that too. I watched Vontez Burfict walk off and join the Raiders. So stables defensively. But, this is the first time I've seen it happen in Cleveland. So that's just where I'm kind of shocked.
Okay, so 8 seasons, Myles Garrett, one of the best defensive ends in football, one of the best defensive ends, the best defensive end in Cleveland Browns history, Jordan, through 8 seasons, 102.5 sacks, 250 solo tackles, 20 forced fumbles. The guy is an absolute animal, one of the best defensive players in football. And he's a guy who's been really, really loyal to Cleveland for these 8 years. He's been on some really bad teams, Jordan. After that initial kick in the chest where you're like, fuck, man, we are in trouble. If I look at it from Myles Garrett's perspective, we've been in the playoffs twice with him. We have 1 playoff win with Myles. It's not enough to have a player of his caliber just be on a so-so team. So while, the decision to leave Cleveland really, really hurts, I understand it because he wants to go and pursue a championship. And if you looked at that letter, I thought, like you said, it was a well put together letter, but there is a jab in there at Andrew Berry, because Andrew Berry, when he talked about keeping Myles Garrett, said, we want to send Myles Garrett from Cleveland to Canton, as in, from Cleveland to the Hall of Fame. And then Myles Garrett added into on his letter, no, he wants to play for a Super Bowl. He wants to be a Super Bowl champion. And that was a subtle shot at Andrew Berry, in my opinion, in the Browns front office. They had tons and tons of conversations. I'm guessing Myles Garrett did not like the answers he received from Andrew Berry in those meetings. And this is the result of that, Jordan. Losing has consequences. Running a bad franchise has consequences. And this is a consequence of these bad years, these bad drafts by Andrew Berry, the mismanagement at the quarterback position. Jordan, the Deshaun Watson trade will go down as the worst trade in NFL and potentially sports history. And it has absolutely
for the Lakers.
It has absolutely gutted this Browns franchise. We have wasted years of prime from Myles Garrett. We wasted years of, Nick Chubb's been hurt and recovering, but we've wasted prime years of Denzel Ward. We've wasted prime years of good football players.
Amari Cooper.
Kevin Stefanski gets a lot of flack, but he is a good coach. He's the best coach we've had here in a long time. He got saddled with Deshaun Watson. I know they tried to make it work, but Deshaun Watson never wanted to run his offense. He always wanted to go out of the shotgun and all the extra stuff. Deshaun Watson single-handedly has cost this franchise an immense amount. Years, picks, players. Now Myles Garrett, who has requested his trade. Jordan, I would probably, if it was up to me, I would attempt to trade him before the draft. And the reason is, I know that the Browns have come out and made a statement. I know Andrew Berry's come out and made a statement. Hey, we're not going to move Myles Garrett. We have him under contract for a year plus, till he's, 2 more years, I believe. I understand that logic, but I would trade him before the NFL draft. I would make sure I get a team's pick in this draft. This is a deep draft in terms of overall talent. I know quarterback's a little slight. I know, people have complained about that, but there is talent all over the field here. And this also changed my mind a little bit, Jordan, about the quarterback position at number 2. Now that you don't have that elite pass rusher in Myles Garrett, Jordan, Abdul Carter looks like a potential saving grace. He is a smaller version of Myles Garrett. Obviously, nobody can recreate the way Myles Garrett bends the edge and the way he gets after the pass rusher. But Abdul Carter is an absolute game wrecker in his own right. And I think I would make the change. And I posted a video after, I calmed down a little bit with a new 4-round Browns mock draft where I took Abdul Carter. I had to change my thinking, and I waited till the 3rd or 4th round to draft a quarterback because I feel like defensive end or defensive line becomes such a need when you don't have Myles Garrett that you can't overlook at this point. You have to almost take the most talented guy in the draft. If the Titans draft quarterback, Jordan, Abdul Carter's the next most talented guy in the draft, in my opinion. Travis Hunter, if I knew he could play 50 plays on both sides and be healthy for a season or multiple seasons, I would consider it. But I think that style of play is going to be very difficult in the NFL. So I think, in my opinion, Abdul Carter is the next most talented guy in the draft. I would take Abdul Carter today at 2 to replace the massive need of Myles Garrett if the Browns make the move to trade him. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and let me ask you this, Doug, because your mentality is kind of switched.
It had to.
And,
It had to.
and we both have kind of put out there that first-round quarterbacks for this draft, it's a slim window. They're there, but it's not as deep as we've seen in years past. Would you trade? Do you go Myles Garrett trade for the 2025 draft, or do you say, if I'm not drafting a quarterback early this year, do I call a team like Detroit and say, hey, keep your draft picks for 2025? And I'm just using Detroit as just off the top of my head. Every team should call about them. So that's 100%. A no-brainer there. Do you have these teams call you and you're like, hey, I want a 2026 first rounder and a 2026 second rounder, and I'm thinking that, okay, if I don't like this year's quarterback depth past the second round, maybe you get one in the third, maybe you get one in the fourth, just for camp competition, and you trade Myles Garrett, and you're like, all right, all hands on deck for 2026. Is that something? Is that because I think you guys have some extra picks this year a little bit. I like it, and I'm sitting here thinking, well, if you don't like this year, prepare yourself for next year, because if you can go get an extra first round, an extra second round of 2026, now regardless of the record that you have in 2025, now you're loaded. You can be like, I have 2 firsts and 2 seconds. You can trade with almost any team.
That's
say
a
you're
good
middle
point,
of the
Jordan.
pack and you're successful.
That's a good
So
point,
I think
Jordan.
that would be the route I would take.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that having a bridge year. No, I don't hate it. I would definitely explore what's the best trade among those teams, though. The Lions, some of those upper echelon teams like a Green Bay, a Vikings, teams that are kind of in that mix. I would see who has the best package. And to me, if I'm going to ask the Lions for that trade, I'm going to make them turn down Jahmyr Gibbs coming to Cleveland also. I'm going to make them say no. And then, because a first next year, Jahmyr Gibbs, and a second next year, I would probably consider that. I know a lot of Browns fans aren't going to like that, but Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel like, is a game changer and a guy who could really thrive in Cleveland and in this system with his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, with his ability to just be an incredible running back. Quick shout out, 643 live viewers. Thank you for tuning into the show tonight. Obviously, we're kicking off with some Myles Garrett talk. If anybody's out there and wants to chime in, let us know what you think of the Myles Garrett situation, because it is a situation that came out today. It is a fluid situation, it appears. I'm hoping that maybe cooler heads will prevail down the line. But if the Browns have to trade him, I believe you have to get unless you're packaging and, like Jordan said, a bridge here. I feel like you've got to get a first in this draft, and hopefully it's in like the teens-ish area or late, early 20s, because, you've got to fill a massive void when you lose a player this good, Jordan. I know you're excited as a Bengals fan. You're not going to get sacked 6 times a year now. I know the AFC North's pumped. That's now that I think about it, I would never trade him in the AFC North. Obviously, I don't think anybody in there has a trade that could push the value. But I also, I would look to try to get him in the NFC so we don't get that Myles Garrett revenge game every other year. I would try to get him as far away from us as we could, if possible.
I think it's dumb that some NFL insiders are labeling the Bengals as a trade package. Not going to happen. The Bengals are cheap. It's not going to happen. Can we crush that on this show? Can we just can we stop that dream?
Myles Garrett will not be playing in Cincinnati next season.
Will not be wearing stripes.
Unless if they offered T and Hendrickson, I would take that. I would take that.
I might say T. I would say T.
It would take both.
I would say T and a first rounder.
More.
I would get rid of,
because we have to pay T.
No,
you have to pay T, so you'd have to get more.
You're not fleecing our pockets that deep.
Well, you have to. That's the only way I would trade him in the division, is you have to get fleeced. To trade in the division, it has to be an all-time type trade, to me. Last couple of thoughts. Man, it sucks, Jordan. We don't have a quarterback. Our star defensive end is asking for a trade. It just feels like the city of Cleveland in this Browns franchise is cursed, man. It's just not. This has not worked out. It's bad management. It's bad management.
It's bad management at the quarterback position. What I bitched about for years as a Bengals fan is we've always had consistency at quarterback, but we've had garbage around other areas. Then I look at Cleveland, and it's always been consistency on the defensive side. It's always been great defensive linemen. It's always been, awesome linebackers, decent secondary. I would say your tight end group going even back to Kellen Winslow Jr. has always been kind of top tier because you always seem to find that, next guy up when it comes to free agency or draft in that situation. So to me, it's just, God, if they can just get the quarterback right. I mean, it's been so long. I mean, Derek Anderson took you 10-6. Baker Mayfield had a playoff appearance. And I didn't expect this much regression either. And this is not me throwing shade. Like, you guys made a playoff run under four quarterbacks, I believe? Five if you count
PJ Walker, DTR, Watson,
Watson wasn't there.
No,
it was Watson was there. Yeah.
Brissett, Joe Flacco.
Yes.
Maybe there were 6. Maybe there was another one in there.
There was a guy that played the last week of the year when it was garbage time. The kid from Florida that the Bengals started him a couple times.
Yeah.
I forget his name. He's in Detroit now, but nevertheless, I didn't expect the regression. You guys put together a playoff run with 5 quarterbacks and then just come out this year and couldn't get it together. So my jaw was dropped just all over the place because, like I said, you had strength at every other position, which I thought would just kind of give you over the hump, regardless
secondary
of who was under
also.
center.
Okay, guys, let's wrap this up. Myles Garrett obviously requested a trade. This will be a fluid situation. This will be a situation that can change from day to day. We will try to stay on top of that. Again, putting out content as much as we can. If you enjoy the show, check out the YouTube channel. We're trying to grow it over there. Almost to 600 subscribers over there. So please go hit the subscribe button there.
Yes.
OH, lowercase sports, uppercase all talk. So appreciate that, guys. 740 live viewers. Incredible stuff. Thank you. My closing message, guys. I don't know if you can read that. If you've seen Draft Day, you know how he, the GM for the Browns, what's his name in Draft Day?
Kevin Costner, baby.
Kevin Costner. He has the Post-it note. Abdul Carter, no matter what for the Browns. Abdul Carter. Go get our new pass rusher, guys. All right, let's move on to our Cleveland Cavaliers, Jordan. Cleveland Cavaliers, Jordan.
Yes.
40-9, buddy. 40-9. Last week, Jordan, the Cavs had a tough week. 4 games in the matter of a week. What did you think after that 4-game stretch, buddy? Because I thought the guys played really, really well. I thought they'd go 3-1, Jordan. So tell me your thoughts after that 4-0 week. An impressive week from our Cavaliers.
I agreed with you. We did say 3-1, although our losses were picked differently. I said the Mavs were going to be before the shock wave throughout the NBA, and Kyrie making a last minute decision due to a back issue to miss the game, which ended up being a historic blowout. It was 90 points in the first half.
That was so crazy.
That set a franchise record, by the way, if anybody was tracking it, for first half points scored by any Cleveland Cavaliers team or era. So, but Douglas, the bench just continues to shine under Kenny Atkinson. He has got these guys just on different levels. I know the Mavs were shorthanded, but Sam Merrill, 20-plus points off the bench. Can't be ignored. You're still playing against NBA pro athletes.
Yeah.
You look at the Miami game. It was a little bit gritty there going into the third quarter. But the bench shined. Evan Mobley shined. No Karis LeVert, minus a couple ball handlers. Ty Jerome's missed some time. So our first-round draft pick has got some significant playing minutes over this stretch as well, Tyson. So, Doug, Kenny Atkinson keeps plugging the hole, man. I mean, it can't be said enough, honestly. That's got to be a real 100%. Real testament to the coaching. I know what our core 4 is going to bring. I know what Evan Mobley is going to bring. Jared Allen is playing most quietly some of the best, role-playing center that I've seen in years. It's going to be outshined by Evan Mobley's stats. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he averaged about 13 points and about 10 rebounds per this trip. So through the 4-game stretch. So he's going double-double night in and night out. So really big shout out there. I just see depth in a team that's just locked in. What do you see through your telescope?
Well, Jordan, let me start off with this stat for you. In that 4-game stretch, Jordan, the Cavs won by a combined 104 points. Yes, that 43-point win over the Mavericks buoyed that number. But if you take that out, Jordan, they still won by over 60 points against those 3 teams before the Mavs game. So an impressive week, like you said. Ty Jerome has been excellent for the Cavaliers. He is by far one of the best role players in the NBA. Jared Allen, the most underrated center in the NBA, a top 5 center in my opinion. Evan Mobley, a phenomenal talent in his own right, who has really changed his game and become a force. Quick message here from Bradley. I want the Chiefs to trade for Myles Garrett just so the world can burn.
You can stop that talk.
Respectfully, fuck off. I'm sorry, man. I can't take that.
I can't take that.
Chris Jones and Myles Garrett together would absolutely ruin
too much
anything in the NFL.
Too much ego. Too much ego. Chris Jones is not sharing the stage.
But back to our Cavs, Jordan. Karis LeVert has been hurt. He's getting back. It's interesting to see how good this Cleveland team is. 40-9, the best record in the NBA right now. I still think they're a move away, Jordan. I'm not going to come off my stance there, but they are still a move away from a championship, in my opinion. I was talking to a couple people. I made a trade on the ESPN machine. We posted Cam Johnson and the backup center for the Brooklyn Nets, Sharp for Tyson, for Niang, for LeVert, and obviously I think we'd have to throw in a pick there. And they were confused at why I thought that was a good trade to make, because I just don't think the average, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, the average Cleveland fan, I don't think understands how good Cam Johnson is on a night in and night out basis. He is one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA right now. He shoots a fantastic percentage on corner threes. He's a knockdown shooter, a guy who, think about the easy looks he would get with Donovan Mitchell and with Darius Garland, and not having, to be sagged on because he doesn't have an Evan Mobley or Jared Allen in the paint. To me, this is a no-brainer. I know there's a lot of people who, don't want to break up the chemistry. I think Cam Johnson's the kind of guy that you can trust to bring in who, doesn't need 20 shots. He doesn't need 15 shots. He's good with 10 to 12 shots and doing his job and playing good basketball. So I'm just, the pushback on Cam Johnson is so confusing. I think he takes them to another level, Jordan. So I know I spoke a lot there. Any thoughts on, this roster? I know the injuries were getting healthy and it feels really good, but we've got the Celtics looming, which obviously are going to be a big test. Giannis is always a tough out in the playoffs. There's still tough outs in a playoff run. That Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics potentially this year. New York probably still going to be a tough out. I just want to see the Cavs go all in. Is that too much to ask?
No, and the players you have on there, like Karis LeVert for Kenny Atkinson might be a tough ask just because they have history over in Brooklyn, back when he coached from Brooklyn. So that might be tough. But, I mean, you look at George Niang was not a factor at all in a playoff run last year. So we got to remember, like you said, anything can happen when, the lights are on every average night. But when the lights get big, Karis LeVert struggled last year in the playoffs.
Yes, he did.
George Niang suffered greatly. He had more fouls than he had points in some games. I'm with you. I'm 110% with you. Yeah, you love the chemistry and you love the feel-good story, but right now these guys are playing well enough to where you can make a trade for a guy like Cam Johnson. And that, I feel like you can't miss that window. I feel like Kobe Altman and, especially Kenny Atkinson, you're there to win a ring, right? I mean, you're there to win. If you're not, to quote Brad Pitt in Moneyball, if you're not here to do that, then what are we doing?
Right.
You're here to win the big one. You're here to win the final game. Nobody gives a shit about what you did all season long when you lose the last game of the year. for your season. So, and that's got to be the Cavs mentality, to quote Hollywood a little bit, but that's got to be their mentality. I love the feel good story. I love the chemistry, but you got to cut a little bit of the bottom of the roster to be competitive, because to go 7, either 5 games, 6 games against New York, 7 games, it just against Boston. These are 2 teams that are going to be absolute dogs in the playoffs. We're ahead in the Knicks because their chemistry and stuff didn't stick together in the beginning of the year, and they battled injuries. This is a team that I don't want to necessarily see with the current roster that we have in a full game scale when it comes to playoffs. Do I think we'll handle business? Yes. But why be in a dogfight when we can make a little bit of the roster adjustments and win the series 3-1 or 3-2 instead of going to that last, okay, we got to bring it back to Cleveland for the final home game and wear ourselves the hell out going to the next round. I think we're talented enough to take them, but we're just not there yet. And that's just kind of where I am at it with you. So I thought the trade was a beautiful thing, especially given, LeVert and everybody else, George Niang's playoff history. History tells me that when the lights get bright, they don't necessarily respond. And we have a good enough core to take it if we can pull a trade off. Sorry, I didn't mean to pick you up there.
Listen to this, Jordan. Cam Johnson right now playing for a bad Brooklyn Nets team, averaging 19 points a game, 32 minutes, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, almost a steal, almost a block. But he's doing this, Jordan, on 13 shots a game. He's shooting 49% from the field. He's shooting 42% from 3 on almost 8 attempts a game. Jordan, you cannot tell me that guy could not take this Cavs to the next level. The versatility on defense, you could switch him and Mobley on wings and on bigs with his ability to defend. There's just so much you could do with a player like Cam Johnson. I just hope the Cavs pull the trigger and go all in this season. Let's talk about last thing, buddy, before we get out of here and move on to our the Reds. The schedule coming up. We know we got Boston tomorrow night, Jordan, on TNT, 7:30 Eastern time. Boston has been a little up and down to be fair recently. They have everybody back for this game. We're not gonna have Dean Wade. We're not gonna have Isaac Okoro. Those are 2 of our wing defenders who help on Tatum and Brown. This is a tough game. This is for our 5th win in a row here. What are your thoughts in Cleveland tomorrow night? Boston, Cavs, TNT.
I think we pull it off. The feel-good game, and I say this because everybody needs a game like we did play in Dallas. Now your bench is feeling good. Everybody got to score. Everybody played low minutes, for our starters. Our bench got great experience going in. We're at home, so that's something I factor in very, very heavily. The Cavaliers are much better at home. They're not bad anywhere because we're 40-9, but statistically shooting threes, statistically getting to the line, defensively, the ratings, everything's the way it's supposed to be when you're a good team. We handle business at home. Give me 110, 103. I think Cleveland gets it done in a nail biter. I think it's going to be an all-out war. This is going into the All-Star break, so this is going to measure out where we are on the roster. This is going to open Kobe Altman's eyes like, hey, this is what we have to do. This is what we're battling, especially being shorthanded. Karis LeVert could miss time, as well as Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade. So we're missing some ball handlers. We're missing some defenders. Let's play everybody we have. Let's see how we stack up. But give me a 3-point win. Give me a 3 to 4 point win. I think it's 110, 107, 110, 106. We get it done in a nail biter. And we feel finally we can say we're 40-1. We've won. We beat Boston twice out of 3 right now. Going to the All-Star break, we're the dogs in the East, and that statement's got to be made tomorrow night.
Nope, that's great. It's going to be a close game, in my opinion. We've got to come out ready to go from the jump. You cannot let Boston get hot from 3. You've got to run them off the line like they did against us. They did it against us last game. They got hot from 3 and absolutely it just makes it so hard to come back. The Cavs made a good effort in that comeback attempt. Can't let them get hot from 3. You've got to make them work. Tomorrow night it's going to be tough without Dean Wade, without Isaac Okoro defensively. I think Levert will play, but tomorrow night, TNT, cannot wait to watch that game, Jordan. And then we've got 2 more games this week, Jordan. At Detroit on Wednesday, at Washington on Friday, 3-game week. The Cavs, in my opinion, Jordan, they have to come out of this 2-1. Boston's just that good, and they match up really well with Cleveland. So if you go, if you end this stretch, 42-10, I think that's a win. Again, we're preparing. In my opinion, we're getting to the point in the season where we know the Cavs are going to be the first or the second seed, no matter what. We're starting to prepare, hopefully, for, how are these lineups going to look in the playoffs, some things like that. It's a little bit early still, but we're almost 51 games into the year. Start tweaking, start making these adjustments. Do we go out and get a Cam Johnson now, where he can start getting integrated and being in the lineup? Big week for the Cavs again. Anytime you play the Celtics on national TV, it's a big game, and I don't care how you want to shape it. If you lose it, that's fine, but this is a game to put out there and be like, hey, we are legitimately here, and we're winning the East. And that's the kind of thing you can cement tomorrow night. Let's keep it moving, Jordan. Let's talk a little Reds baseball. It's that time of year. Quick shout out, 930 live viewers. This is our biggest show to date. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Unbelievable. Thank you. Let's talk some Reds baseball, Jordan. We're getting to that time of year, man. We're a couple months away.
Yes.
I'm excited. I told you, Terry Francona, in my opinion, is kind of rejuvenated. Last year we really got into baseball. We were really into it, but this year it feels like with Terry Francona at the helm, the Reds are ready to take the next step and get back into that playoff mix. There's some we're going to talk wins and losses and projections, a little bit down the road. But tonight we're going to talk lineups, and we're going to talk pitching staff, batting order, those kind of things. Jordan, projected lineups have come out. 1 through 9. Let's start at batting order before we get into position battles. Who would you like to see lead off for the Cincinnati Reds this year?
I've got mixed. I want to see where you stand on this. I don't want to just throw the mic at you immediately.
Yeah.
I'm kind of maybe a TJ Friddle or a Matt McClain is kind of where I was leaning, but
so in my opinion, I'm right there with you. I think TJ Friddle does a great job. It's just he's unreliable because of the injuries. And I think he's a really good baseball player. I think he's a solid leadoff hitter. But he's so in and out of the lineup. I think that's why I'm excited that, they got a Gavin Lux, somebody who I think could move up and hit in that opening spot. I know he's got a little pop in his bat and things like that, but I think he's a guy who can hit for decent average. So, in my opinion, TJ Friddle will be the leadoff hitter to start the season, Jordan. So, second in the lineup here is pretty obvious, buddy. We've got Elly De La Cruz here hitting second. And, this is a big time year for Elly. He's got the MLB show cover, which is fantastic, well-deserved, up and coming superstar type guy, big contract on the line. The price is only going up. But, in my opinion, he's going to hit second, and he's going to, I expect an even better year than we had last year. Less strikeouts, more production, big time steals again, that kind of stuff. I'm very excited for Elly De La Cruz this upcoming season. Hitting third in the lineup, Jordan. This is where I have Matt McClain. And let me tell you why. Matt McClain, in my opinion, his rookie season for the Reds, he was the best hitter on the team. In my opinion, it was very obvious. Had a phenomenal first rookie year. The Reds missed him so badly last year for his consistency and everything he brings to the lineup. Matt McClain will be our everyday third hitter this season, and I'm very, very excited to get him back. He's got great pop in his bat. He hits well for average. He can hit to every part of the field. And on top of that, he's a good defensive player. I just hope he hasn't caught an injury bug or something like that, and it kind of slows him down because, man, he is a really, really good baseball player, Jordan. First things first, I love watching that guy play ball. Matt McClain will be the third hitter. Have you had anything? Are you with everything I've said so far?
Yeah, I'm good with that because
this is where it gets interesting, Jordan, for me.
Because
And let me ask you, because you know your fourth hitter usually is your big power guy. Usually your big, the big home run hitter. The Reds don't necessarily have a big home run hitter. Where do you think they go here at the 4 spot?
I do. Where do you see Candelario on the field before I answer that?
Candelario,
Because he's a hit or miss when it comes to the bat.
he is.
And
I would assume he'll play some third and some first, Jordan. I would assume.
why
you ask?
I had him either going 4th or a designated hitter opening day.
I would
probably, and that means he's not going to be on the field if he's going to come out as a designated hitter because of some of the acquirements we got free agency and via trade. I don't have him playing a lot when it comes to fielding, but I have him as a consistent bat this year. So that's where I was kind of wondering, do you have him on the field opening day, or do you just have him?
I do. I have him starting at third this year. I have him opening up at third base. I don't have him hitting 4th, but I can see why you do. I can see it. I can see the vision there. Man, see, the only problem here I have is I think you go with Tyler Stephenson here, who I think he kind of came on in terms of power last year, and I thought he had a really good season. I think you start with Tyler Stephenson here at the 4 spot. The 5th spot is where it gets interesting, Jordan. This is kind of where I think you almost need to split it up and get a left-handed bat in there. I would put Jake Fraley here at 5th.
I also had it was a tough pick between Will Benson and Fraley for me.
Oh, just who was going to start?
Yes. Who's going to start and be that 5th bat?
Okay. I would not put Will Benson there if he was to start. I think he would be, much, much further down. In my opinion, I had Jake Fraley there, and you've got to hope that Jake Fraley, I know he had a horrendous off the field year last year. And obviously, he went through a lot, lost some weight, all that different kind of stuff. I'm hoping that this offseason he can get back into full go, get his mind right back on baseball, and he can be a productive player again for the Reds, because Jake Fraley is a hell of a dude, a likable guy. I'm looking forward to getting him back here. The guy that I kind of was struggling with, Jordan, here was Spencer Steer. I think Spencer Steer could be in that 5 spot, but you don't want 3 right-handers in a row. You kind of want to mix it up a little bit and knowing the Reds. But I would say Spencer Steer is going to hit 5th or 6th for the Reds, in my opinion. I've got him hitting 6th here in my opening day lineup. How do you feel about Spencer Steer?
Oh, that's solid for me, especially the work he's put in the offseason and just all the great things that you're kind of hearing about him at the moment.
Spencer Steer. Love Spencer Steer.
I hope he comes back. I can't wait to see him healthy. Something we didn't see a lot last year.
Next, this is where I had Candelario, and he is starting at third base. He's a switch hitter. It goes from both sides. In my opinion, third base, I'd much rather see him DH if he's going to be in the lineup. And I know they spent the money on him and everything like that. He just doesn't really move the needle as much as I thought he would for the price tag and things like that. But I do believe he will start at third base, and I believe he'll be hitting at 7th in the lineup to start the year. Is that jive with you so far?
That jives with me. If you don't have him right smack in the middle, you don't have him DHing, that this is where I would place him.
So this is where the DH question comes into it. And it's obviously DH is going to change depending on, right-handed, left-handed pitcher. That will affect it a little bit. But I expect Gavin Lux to hit a lot of DH this year when he's not in the field. And I think you put him, in this spot here at 8 as the DH. Gavin Lux hitting DH opening day. For me, Jordan, what are your thoughts there?
For opening day with a new manager, Doug, I like that, because it's not, opening day is not set in stone for the whole year, but it definitely gives us a look at the veterans that we have from last year and a mixture of kind of what we want to see shifted with the lineup changes and some health. Now that we have some health guys back from the Cactus League, guys are getting healthy. especially from last year's horrendous
Right.
ending. So, but yeah, no, I'm really comfortable with that because Francone's got to go with a little bit of chemistry that's been there before he injects some new blood with some guys, switching it up indefinitely. But opening day, that's a solid foundation.
100%. And then to round it out, Jordan, I would have Austin Hayes hitting last in the order 9th.
That was going to be my question of the day. With since he's new to the lineup, he's new to the team. Where would you have him? And I'm glad you and I were kind of seeing it that way.
So my reasoning here, Jordan, is you make the trade for the guy. Outfield is a major concern for the Reds, flat out. It's still a major concern.
Yeah.
I still wanted to see the team go out and try to get Luis Roberts Jr. I know the price or whatever they were asking for was too much. I'm a guy who feels like, we can't always just build prospects. At some point, you've got to be willing to cash in. We've talked about this numerous times. I think his bat, putting him 4th in this lineup would completely change the Reds' trajectory. But we have to go with what we have, and we have to really hope, Jordan, that Austin Hayes can get back to that 20 home run range where he had a couple years back, and hopefully he can find his bat again. Opening day, I think it's a solid roster, Jordan. Opening day pitcher. Who do you believe the opening day pitcher will be?
Well, it's got to be Hunter Green, right?
Yeah, I just want to see. I was like, he's got to stay Hunter Green, right? He's got to say Hunter Green. Yeah, Hunter Green's got to be the guy, Jordan. In my opinion, Hunter Green will finish in the top 3 for the NL Cy Young this year. I think Hunter Green will be that good this year. I think he finished top 6, top 7 last year. In my opinion, he is in that top 3. He is going to be fighting for that wild card, or not that. Sorry, that NL Cy Young award. I think Hunter Green's that good. Let's look at the starting rotation though, Jordan. Hunter Green, in my opinion, opens up the opening day. Then you've got Brady Singer, you've got Andrew Abbott, you've got Nick Martinez, and you've got Nick Lodolo. How do you feel about the Reds' 5 starting pitchers right now?
Healthy, I feel great.
Yeah.
If like I said, if Hunter Green can remain that we're giving him the keys to the franchise, and that's for the pitching era. So that everything else behind that, I think Nick Lodolo will have a rebound year. I know we were pretty critical and hard on him last season. He didn't finish necessarily great, but there were a lot of tweaks in between that kind of factored into that. It wasn't just pitching. He didn't have a lot of run support either. So I'm pretty comfortable with this. It's still room to grow. I still love to see it tweaked. I say it's probably a top 12 to 15 pitching rotation for the MLB. It's right in the middle of the pack. We're not coming out with the dogs, but we're not in the back of the line either. So I think we're pretty happy.
10, buddy. I think we're top 10.
I think we're top 10.
In terms of starting staff, I do believe we are. So I think the Brady Singer trade is a solid trade. I'm going to miss Jonathan India. I think it was confusing that we traded India, but then brought in Gavin Lux. Yeah, that's all different. That's all Reds management. I thought overall they've done a good job. I think Brady Singer is going to be a good pitcher for the Reds this year. Nick Lodolo, like you said, a bounce back year. Nick Martinez really showed he could go at the end of last year. Yes. And then Andrew Abbott's a guy who me and you both like a lot. So, I'm pretty excited about this staff. And then you've got guys like Rhett Lauder in the wings. You've got Chase Burns, who will be working his way up through the system. There's some reasons to be excited going forward with the Reds pitching, and I definitely believe in this group, and I think we're gonna have a better year than people are thinking. We'll talk projections, we'll talk about all that other stuff down the line. Let me read off for you, just based on position. Jordan, you tell me where if you think there's gonna be any changes. Opening day: Friedel, center field; Ellie, shortstop; Matt McClain, second base; Stevenson, catcher; Fraley, right field; Spencer Steer, first base; Candelario, third base; DH Gavin Lux, left field; Austin Hayes for your opening day Reds lineup.
That's exactly, and folks, we didn't go over this. That's exactly what I have right here to a T. My only My only switch was if Candelario was going to go to the designated hitter, I was going to potentially move Ellie Deli Cruz the third, which has been kind of quietly talked about, and that was going to be my only really tweak.
Gotcha. Okay, I don't hate that. I mean, it's possible. Jordan, a lot going on with the Reds, a lot going on with the world of sports. Let's get into the last couple things here. News and notes. Jordan, I want to quickly shout out again. This is our biggest show we've ever done in terms of live viewers. It means a lot to us. 1,032 live viewers right now. Incredible stuff, guys. It means a lot. So thank you. Jordan, news and notes. You wanted to touch on the Cincinnati Bearcats, their recent lack of success. I mean, they're struggling in terms of basketball. You know, we're seeing polls on X. Should they fire Wes Miller? I mean, so, you know, what do you want to talk about there? Because it seems to me like Wes Miller is probably on the way out after a very rough season for the Bearcats.
Especially, you know, second year in the Big 12, if I'm not mistaken, for the basketball program. I think it's time to go. I think it's time to get a new voice in there, or, you know, get an interim guy and see how he does. It just seems like every local media outlet. I'm in the Cincinnati area. You're more predominantly in a Dayton area right now, just from where we live. They're calling for his head left and right, and that's putting it nicely, folks. I'm not here to smear anybody. He's a coach for a reason. You know, I won't go that far, but it's I like to see the Bearcats move on, get an interim coach in, tweak the roster, especially in the NIL, you know, world of which is basketball now. I think if they hang on to him, they're going to lose a lot of scholarships going into next year, especially when that portal window opens for basketball. So it just I like to see the Bearcats just do better. I didn't expect them. I didn't have them going like deep, but I had them competitive in the Big 12. I had them probably in the third, probably dog 3 or dog 4 tops in regular season play is where I had them in the preseason, finishing in the Big 12. So this is I like to see him. I like to see him get some new voices in there, Doug. I know we're more Flyer faithful fans than we are UC fans, but how do you feel about it? You know, kind of outside looking in the scope.
Well, I mean, after they beat Xavier and Dayton back to back, I thought they were a good team, and I thought they were going to be a little bit more competitive in the Big East than the Big 12 than they have been. You know, they lost a close one to Kansas State by 3. They lost to Arizona by 5, and it's kind of went downhill ever since then. You know, 20-point loss to Baylor, 14-point loss to Kansas, and then this recent 4-game skid. Jordan, you know, at a university that's a prominent or was a prominent basketball program at UC, I don't think that's good enough. I just don't think that they are good enough this year. They're 12-9. They're 15th in the Big 12. Something has to change. It's maybe, you know, Wes Miller is just not getting it done at the level that he should, and I expect a change to happen. Jordan, I do. I really do. They're not good enough. You know, those 2 wins over Dayton and Xavier are way in the rearview mirror now. You know, that early non-conference, you know, success is way gone. It's time for a new voice, it feels like, in Cincinnati, and I'm not sure who that is. I'm not sure who steps up and takes that job and makes it their own and can get Cincinnati back into, you know, it's also a big time difference now. The Big 12 is a loaded basketball conference, basketball conference, Jordan. So it's going to be it's a hard job right off the bat, but it's a job where you get to play some of the best teams in the country. So in that regard, I feel like it has to be enticing, but man, is that an uphill battle, uphill battle. Let's move over to the Ohio State Buckeyes, Jordan. They have had some success lately. They dropped a tough one the other night to Illinois.
That was a heartbreator.
They were in the game the entire time, in the game, and then late in the second half, you know, Illinois they just wore them down, and took advantage of the Buckeyes. You know, late turnovers, couldn't make a shot. They went 4 or 5 minutes without even making a shot. Jordan, it was tough to watch.
It just feels like Diebler's calling card this year. He's played a lot of gritty games, and we've lost a couple close ones to teams that, like you said, we're we're right in it. We're right in the boxing match. We're trading blow for blow, block for block. We're wrapping them up. We're getting the breaks, and it just feels like right at the end, these teams, I can't put my hat on it. Like, is it a conditioning issue? Is it a coaching issue? Should we be, is it a minutes played issue before half? Because the talent is there for the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
We've seen them win some big ones, but this is a streaky team. They're either super hot, or they come out and they lose these games that are just kind of, I won't call the Fighting Illini this year a head scratcher, but we've had other ones that were head scratchers. But just like, I felt like they should have won. We're on a momentum roller coaster. We really took it to them in the first half and just kind of fell apart there in the last 3 to 4, probably even 5 minutes, Doug. I'd even be willing to say that.
For sure. And like you said, Buckeyes have had some bad luck in crunch time this year. They lost that 2-point game to Oregon. They lost a 2-point game at Wisconsin. They lost a 1-point game against Indiana before they went on that 3-game winning streak that got cut short by Illinois. They get back to it against Maryland at the end of the week here. I like Diebler, but it just feels like they're just missing something. And I hate that, because that usually means that it's not the right guy. But I think, you got to give, this is his first full season. Again, this very critical of a guy who took over halfway through last year. They went on a great run.
I'm not calling for his head, Doug. I just want to see. I'm just saying his calling card this year, you just went right down the line. His calling card this year just seems to be like, I can get you there, but I can't get you to the promised land. He's just, he's right there, and I hope they figure it out. But conference tournament means everything. You start the year off 0-0. You go in, you do your thing. We see if we can, make the dance. It's all about making the dance and getting hot at the right time in basketball. So maybe he'll figure it out. Like you said, we're about to go on, I think, a 2-game skid this week, if I'm not mistaken. But this team's going to get it together. But Diebler's just right there. It's just it irritates me when I watch these games every now and then, or I peek on it on my phone and we're good, and then I'm at my kids' cheer competition, and I look at my phone again, and we're like, oh, we're out, and I'm like, damn, what happened? I got to go home and watch the replay. So hopefully they'll get it together. I think they're back in action Wednesday.
Yeah. No, Thursday, I think. Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. I apologize, folks. Yeah, back in action on Thursday. Back in action Thursday against Maryland. A ranked team, top 20 ranked team.
Another chance to get a good win.
FS1. So if you got streaming services, that means you can watch it. So we get into it, and maybe we'll live tweet it. Thursday we'll be doing a show, so maybe we'll do a little look in, see how they're doing, and hopefully we can get back on the right track, because March is so damn close, Doug.
It is.
I can hear the music to the dance.
100%, Jordan. One other thing we didn't touch on, we're going to touch on it really fast, and that's my fault. We got the Myles Garrett news, everything that happened kind of threw us off. Jordan, Chip Kelly has taken call to the NFL. We're not going to keep you guys any longer. We're almost at an hour, Jordan. Let's touch on it again Thursday. But on Thursday, let's talk either who the replacement is for him, or where the Buckeyes go next. Chip Kelly to the Raiders, I believe, is a $6 million per year deal. So it's hard to turn down a number like that. So I do understand, but Chip Kelly leaving the Buckeyes after they just lost Knowles to Penn State. It's been tough. It's been tough after winning a national championship, Jordan. Some quick thoughts, and then we're going to get out of here.
I think the obvious answer on at least the basic Buckeye mind right now, Brian Hartline was contacted for other jobs and, permission to interview, the whole 9 yards. But Doug, to me, it seems like the guy's kind of there. I think you got to give at least Hartline, and I hate, you really can't waste a year in NIL world now, because players will just get up and make their own decision. So I don't think it would be a waste, but you look at guys that are still on board that we got Chris Hendry Jr. coming in. We got other, big time offensive guys coming in. I wouldn't hate if we gave him a spin. Let's see what he's got. Obviously, he knows the weapons. He was a big bug in, Kelly's ear after the loss. We won't, after the Michigan loss. I think that, Brian Hartline had to be a big voice. Hey, I got these guys, we recruited these guys for you on the outside. We brought back all these guys, Uboka, all these guys, Tate. And it, from that playoff run, we went to our strengths. So, we started spinning the ball on the outside, which opened up the run, and our two, running backs that are going to be first and second rounders, depending on where they land in the NFL draft, projected wise. They started killing it. And I can't sit here and not believe that Brian Hartline had a big voice in changing the philosophy going on a playoff run. Obviously, Ryan Day was involved, but he seems like he was kind of that uncredited outside voice. So I truly believe that we got to give this man the job. Unless something just unless we bring in the next big guy or somebody, I can't even think of a guy that would fit it right now just because of Ohio State's chemistry. But I would start with Brian Hartline and, see, just go down the line. That would be my candidate. How do you feel about it? Now I kind of ranted about it.
No, it's okay. We're going to save it for Thursday. You ranted on it. It's fine. You went a little further than I thought we were going to go. But, Jordan, hell of a show tonight, buddy. 1,080 live viewers, the most we've ever had. Incredible night, guys. We are going to be back again live on Thursday. We'd love for you to come back and give us another chance. We are audio on Apple and Spotify. Please check Ohio Sports Talk if you have either of those. Our YouTube channel, Ohio_sports talk, TikTok, all those other social medias. Thank you for all the interactions. I'm your host, Doug. That's the coach, Jordan Maxson, and we will see you guys Thursday night.